Let's bring it down. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in here to another great episode of Primetime Sportz Talk. This is the show all about our opinions about the facts, completely surrounding Georgia State men's and women's basketball throughout this 2015-2016 season. And the beautiful thing about this show, it's totally unscripted. We do this once, we do this raw, and we love that you are going to love it with us. I'm Joey Redmond, and this is my partner, Rashad Milligan. This is Rashad's first show. Yeah. So he's fired up.
I'm hyped. I'm hyped, Joey.
And we can't wait to hear what Rashad's got going on for us.
Oh, man.
I'm excited. Oh. Because, again, it's unscripted. I don't know what he's going to say. He doesn't know what I'm going to say, so this is going to be crazy. But I know this show is about basketball, but I do, as a Panther fan, as a student here, as somebody that participates in being a part of the athletics program, as a student, I do want to give the Georgia State football team their due, because today they played South Alabama at home over at the Georgia Dome, and after being down 10-0 at the start of the game, they rallied, scoring 24 unanswered points to finish, winning with a final score, of course, of 24-10. And they're 3-3 in the conference right now, which is the best conference record they have had since joining the Sun Belt Conference in 2013. In fact, the last 2 years, they hadn't even won a conference game. This year, they got 3 wins. So it's a great thing. It's also the best record they've had since joining the Sun Belt Conference. The record after today was 4-6. So great win. Love seeing the number one passing offense in the Sun Belt Conference go to work. Nick Arbuckle is just having a great year. And they only have one more home game left, and it's next week. So if you haven't had a chance to go see these guys play on what has so far been a fantastic season by Georgia State standards, you really only have one more close and easy shot at it at home in the Georgia Dome next Saturday. So
Friday,
excuse me.
Like Friday.
Friday. I'm all over the place right now because I'm not
some leftovers.
I'm not even supposed to be talking about football, and I'm getting my football stuff wrong.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, Rashad, could we see the football team be eligible for a bowl game?
We actually could see
if they win
the
out on the
team.
season.
As of today, what is today? November
21st.
November 21st. If they win out,
if they win out, 2 more games left. If they win out,
they beat Troy. They go to Southern and beat Southern.
Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Maybe.
Are we?
No. Maybe. Hey,
these guys have the, they have the wheels.
We'll see what happens.
They're hot.
Let's bring it back to basketball, though. Okay. Football is great, but we're here to talk about basketball. That's what these people tune in to see. So we just got back from the women's game. We went and saw the Georgia State Women's Panthers take on Morehead State in the GSU Sports Arena, 7 o'clock earlier this evening. And, Rashad, this is going to be a fun one for you and I, because I don't know how I feel about this game. And I'll come clean on the result. The score was 90-99. It was a loss for the Panthers. And I don't remember the last time I saw a men's game go that high. Yeah. That's just something you don't see. And now we're talking about women's basketball. And, I mean, you're maybe thinking to yourself, how can this one be difficult to talk about? It must have been a great game, 90-99. Maybe the numbers, if you're just looking at it without being at the game, it might come across that way. But, Rashad, what do you think, man?
It was an ugly game. It was an ugly game on both sides. Morehead State turned the ball over a lot. Georgia State obviously turned the ball over a lot, but Morehead State actually beat Georgia State in terms of turnovers with, I believe, 25-21.
Yeah, Morehead State had 4 more turnovers than Georgia State.
They had 4 more turnovers than Georgia State. But Georgia State, this is obviously, as you mentioned in the first episode, the team is new. The team, they're still getting used to each other. Sharon Baldwin-Tenner, she's still implementing that system that you can tell they kind of don't understand what they're exactly doing out there. And it's going to take some time. I mean, we just brought up the football team. The football team at the beginning of the year, horrible. Horrible. I mean, to their standards and the talent they had on that team, and it's the same thing with the women's basketball team. Women's basketball team have a lot of talented players. There are a lot of new players, but they need some time to gel and figure each other out, because it's too many turnovers. It's too many just dumb mistakes, even if it's not shown on paper, that I see at that game. It's ugly. It was an ugly game, ugly game.
I wasn't there to see the warm-ups. I came in just as the warm-ups were ending. I showed up at the sports arena just before they were ending. And I spoke with David. You know David from the first 2 episodes. He was on the desk. He's in our control room right now. Shout out to Mr. David Shealy helping us out today from the other side of the desk, getting a little taste of that part of the show.
Yeah.
But he told me that the women looked disorganized even in warm-ups. Did you catch any of that?
In warm-ups, not really. Not more different than I see in any other game. It was disorganized at a certain part after they went from layups to jump shots. And coaches were yelling at them, the assistant coaches and stuff. They have a new assistant coaches. So the newness of the team goes all the way from the players all the way down to the assistant coaches. The only returning people we have are really Makiba Ponder, Morgan Jackson, Kenesha Nichols, and Sharon Baldwin-Tenner.
Right.
That's all we have returning from last year.
Right.
And
Sharon Baldwin-Tenner's the coach.
She's
not even shooting the baskets.
The head coach.
Right. She's not even shooting the
because the
baskets.
assistant coaches are different for the most part. And I think the team just needs time. They need time. They're a very talented bunch. They're all superstars from where they came from, so I think
they are.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you have 10 new players who you recruited a lot,
Yeah.
right? And only 5 of the 10 are freshmen.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody else transferred from somewhere. You know, so they've been in other programs, and the first game they played, the viewers might remember, was over KSU, Kennesaw State University, and it was the first game of the season. It was on the road, and the women's basketball team came away with a win. And it wasn't an easy win. So
Yeah.
I made the rough prediction that they would do better than their previous record of I think it was 13 and 16.
Yeah.
13 and 16 last year. 13 and 17 last year.
And they should.
Right.
They should do better than they did last year.
But now they've lost 2 games in a row.
But if you look at the games, even the game they won, they came back from, 15 points down in the first half?
Right.
It's just the team has been falling into this pattern of let's fall behind early and come back and fight to the end. They're a good team.
But teams don't win long-term like that, though.
Yeah,
I mean, you see that on every level.
They don't, but eventually it's not going to be like that to where they figure it out at the end of the game. They're going to figure it out at the beginning of the game, coming down the stretch. I see in the middle of the season. Let's talk in January, February. This team is going to look good. Believe me, trust me. I see it in them. They have potential. They have great talent.
I wanna say that's true because I'm such a Panthers fan, and I mean you might be dead on, but I tell you what, some of the frustration I see on the faces of the girls that are playing, the women that are playing on the court, it doesn't look like team play. And, you know, I think that they're the 3rd game into the season. They had some preseason games. They had the off season to warm up and get familiar with each other. So the fact that you're, I mean, I say like the fact that you're this far in, I know it's only the 3rd game of the season, but still, that's a lot of time between when you first got to meet each other and when you now finish the 3rd game of the season. And they just don't look as organized as you would expect a team that's been able to gel, even with all the new players. And all the new players, not necessarily their first time in the college basketball level, right? We just said there's 5 freshmen, 5 transfers. They just don't look like they're happy with each other. And I was watching the seniors play tonight, you know, Makiba Ponder especially, it didn't look like she was comfortable giving the ball to everybody else on the court.
Well, Kiba's a sophomore. So Morgan.
No, Makiba Ponder.
Yeah.
Ponder.
She's a sophomore.
Oh, she's a sophomore. Okay, I thought Makiba
sophomore.
was a senior. My mistake.
No, sophomore. She's just the best player on the team.
But even still, you know, she's been there before, so she understands the system, and she still wasn't comfortable handing it off.
But Makiba, I mean, she's a superstar. I mean, there's a reason why she's the leading scorer, and she's always leading because she takes a lot of shots. RJ took a lot of shots last year. Ryan Harrell took a lot of shots. They missed a lot of shots. But that's how you become the leading scorer, you know. Kobe, she's exactly like Kobe. She's selfish. Well, excuse me. She can get selfish at times and get too much in herself and not trusting her teammates.
That's what I think we saw tonight.
And I think we're going to see her trusting her teammates more as the season moves on. That's my argument.
But how does that happen, though? I mean, I know teams say it all the time, you know, on any level. You learn to trust your teammates, and you get in the locker room, and you get familiar with each other, you get friendly with each other, and when things look bleak, you have to learn to rely on your teammates. But it seems like it's a really catch-22 scenario because you're saying that, like, in order for us to get better, we have to trust each other. But based on the performance that everybody else is playing, you don't want to trust them. So how do you just put that aside and go face the rest of the season and go on a run when you had a losing season last year, you're trying to get to a winning season this year, you got all these new players, which seemed like they were really going to gel quickly going on the road and taking a victory in the first game of the season, But how do you overcome that idea of I don't trust you, but I have to just put that behind me in order to come out of here and have a good season?
I honestly think, excuse me, the X factor for the women's team, for this women's team, is going to be Elijah Mitchell. If Elijah Mitchell steps up, if she takes it into her own hands, steps up to Makiba and practice and like, hey, I got this. Elijah Mitchell, she can play.
She had 11 points tonight.
She can play ball. She works hard. She works hard in the glass and the post.
Right.
She works hard. And she can play. She can get the and-ones and everything. If Elijah Mitchell takes things into her hands, hey, give me the ball. Give me the ball, Makiba.
Well,
then I think the team will be all right.
So then how does Elijah go and prove that to the team? Does it happen all on the court? I mean, does something have to happen on the practice court? Does something have to happen on the weekends? You know, do they have to hang out more? Do they gel? I mean,
Elijah just has to, she can't step around it. She can't walk around it and try to, she has to just be straight up. If you want to win, you have to just walk up to him, hey, give me the ball. Give me the ball. I trust, I won't let you down. And I guarantee you, if you give Elijah Mitchell the ball more, she will not let you down. She'll get 20 and 10. I don't know, averaging 20 and 10, maybe 17, 10, and 5. But she's shown it at her last school, Pensacola State, and she showed it at Wheeler in high school. So Makiba Ponder's, Elijah Mitchell's an absolute beast on the post. And she can be that Shaq figure to Makiba Ponder.
That's a big title.
It's a big. But
You're going the Shaq Kobe scenario here for Elijah Mitchell, Makiba Ponder.
Because Makiba Ponder is Kobe. She shoots a lot of shots.
She shoots a lot of shots.
She shoots out of double teams, out of triple teams. She dribbles the ball out, keeps the ball without passing. Obviously, someone's open if you're triple team, but she's going to shoot it ananyway.
She shot 13 times today.
Yeah,
13 shots and 4 from 3. 11 from 3.
If you talk about the last game, she had 7 points, and it was a similar performance where she had went 2 for 11 from the field, 3 for 11 for the field. It runs my mind right now. But it's the exact same performance back to back, and it's because the teams are starting to lock in on Makiba Ponder. They know she was, one of the best players in the Sun Belt last year, and as a freshman. So certainly, when the best other players graduated or left the program, she was going to be that next one up for Georgia State, and they knew all they had to do with all those new players and freshmen, just trap her, and so far it's worked.
Let's talk about these numbers and these points because, again, 90 to 99, and we're giving the women a hard time after scoring 90 points. And it's one of those things that you really just had to be at the game to see how it really fell apart. Because they shot, what was the number here again? 87 shots from 2. And then that doesn't include the 30 3-pointers that they shot. They shot more than 100 shots this game. And of course, that's the only way you're ever going to get to 90. But that means you should come up with 200 points. Right? If you shoot 100 shots and all of them are 2s.
Or at least 100.
Or at least 100.
They
every time it looked like they were going to go on a run, and every time it looked like the defense was going to step it up, it seems like Moorhead found a way to shut it down immediately by either getting a 2 when they got a 3, getting a 3 when they got a 2, matching them shot for shot, or coming away with a big steal. There were some rallies where you saw Georgia State take it down the court, Moorhead State steals it. Then Georgia State steals it immediately, and then Moorhead State steals it immediately, and then Moorhead State puts up a 2. And it seemed like, you see those steals, and it's like, oh, they got momentum, oh, it's gone. Oh, they got momentum, oh, it's gone. And then they realized that they had the ball twice in the same rally, and they still gave up the points. And that comes back to how disorganized it seems like they look. When you don't trust your teammates, I feel like it's easy to shoot this many times. Because you don't ever want to pass. Right? You just want to get to the top of the line and you want to shoot. Because you feel like if you hand it off, you're not going to give it to anybody who can do it better than you. And that's a problem. So you get 90 points, but you don't win. And I gave the defense a lot of credit against Kennesaw for holding the lead with under 5 minutes left to play. That's tough to do, right? Especially on the road, and again, all these new players. But they allowed, get this, they allowed Moorhead State to go 75% on 3-pointers.
Do better.
75% from the field on 3-pointers. They went 11 for 23. I mean, no, sorry, that's field goals. They went 48% on three-pointers. My apologies. 11 for 23, 48% on field goals. I mean, hey, 48% from anywhere on the field. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. And they did it from three. They had one. Who was, I'm going to forget this player's name. They had the number 21.
Greenwell.
Who was one? Greenwell. Greenwell had 26 points, and I think 20 of them, or 21 of them, if you're doing three-point math, were from three-pointers.
18.
18? She had 18 points in three-pointers?
She hit 6 threes.
Unbelievable.
6 threes. I mean, but a lot of that comes from trusting your teammates.
Right.
A lot of that was ball movement. I mean, the high scores for Georgia State both had 12 points.
Yes.
4 players from Morehead State had more than 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
And
2 had 20 points.
Exactly. 3 of them had at least 15 or more.
Right.
So, and that just comes from just knowing, swinging the ball and trusting your teammates and having more than one go-to person.
I feel like this is such a hard game to dissect. I feel like even our analysis is a little bit all over the place just because it's hard to convey. It's so hard to convey the story the numbers don't tell unless you were there.
It was a very sloppy game.
It was. It'd be so easy just to print these stats off and go, man, great game for the women's, 90 points. Look at all the shots they had. Look at Morehead State putting up 99. Oh, man, the defense just fell a little bit short because really the difference between the 90 and the 99 was the amount of three-point shots that Morehead State made, and we didn't. If we covered that distance between the amount of three-pointers Morehead State made and the amount of three-pointers Georgia State made, we would have ended up at a tie ball game.
Overtime.
Right, in overtime. Right, so
we probably would have lost in overtime. The way they were playing. It was a horrible performance tonight.
Well, right. I mean, we can flip a coin on that all day long, but I think the point is there's just not enough there yet, and it's so off-putting to say that looking at a 90-point game.
Yeah.
But it's just not there yet, and you hope that at some point they're the ones scoring 90 points with great chemistry. Yeah. But in the meantime, they've got a long way to go.
They got a long way to go.
I think that's
they don't look set on offense for the most part.
They don't. And even defense, it seems like they were still getting their rebounds, right? They made a lot of rebounds against KSU. They made a lot of rebounds the previous game. It seemed like they were still getting their rebound. They had a lot of opportunities to get rebounds, right, with the amount of shots that were being put up.
The rebounding was horrible at some places,
right?
Where it was just a live ball just bouncing. That's the difference between, do you really want to win? Do you really? Because if you would, when you see that ball bouncing, you do whatever you can to get to that ball with 2 hands.
Right. There was one point when the ball was bouncing on the floor, and there were 2 Moore State players both fighting for the ball at the same time. Neither of them could get a handle on it, and literally the other 8 players were on the other side of the court. It was just 2 Morehead State players fighting for the same ball with nobody around them. And what did it take him, 6 seconds to finally get a handle on the ball? And one of them was crawling on the court just trying to keep the ball from going out of bounds and turning it over to Georgia State. That was pretty much the whole game. And then you saw, oh man, I mean, this was just too funny. It really put a staple on the game as a whole, in my opinion, where I don't remember who shot the basket. You might remember who shot the basket, but whoever it was shot it from the left side of the key and right along the baseline. Right, it was perpendicular to the hoop.
Yeah,
and it got stuck. You know when the ball gets stuck between the rim and the backboard, it just sticks there.
The ultimate break.
Right, the ultimate break. It was somebody on the Panthers, and I can just remember sitting there, and I just had to laugh. You just that's all you could do, because at that point it was too late in the game for Georgia State to make a comeback, and that just seemed like a staple.
Well, they did make a little push at the end there.
Barely. And let's not forget that they had the lead multiple times in the first half. It's not like they never had a chance to take this away. They had the lead probably 4 or 5 times. I mean, in the first half, it went back and forth a lot. Now, they were down, I mean, by the loss, clearly, more than they were up. But when you have an opportunity to keep the lead
at home, you can't
give that up. You can't give that up. And we're sort of beating a dead horse here with the concept of chemistry, but that's just what it's about. It's just about chemistry. They got to get their heads in the game. I mean, I know that's cliche when it comes to sports, but hey, that's what they got to do. They got to get their head in the game. They got to be a team. They got to go. They got to figure out off the court.
They got to.
This stuff doesn't happen.
Get the head in the game. They got to get you.
we're doing the Primetime Sportz musical number.
Yeah,
it's
exactly,
perfect.
yeah.
It's maybe Troy Bolton should show up and give him some coaching or something. Maybe that's what we should do. I know. I wonder how many people are wondering who's Troy Bolton. Who's
that's old school for you kids.
That's the old school Disney stuff, man.
Old
Oh man,
school
that was some.
I think they'll be all right. I spoke with KK Williams before the season started. She said she loves all her teammates. They're best friends.
Okay.
They always hang out. Those are her best friends.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Would she tell you anything different?
I mean, but
would she ever come up to you and say, "Oh, no, all my teammates are horrible. I'm dreading getting on the court with them. I don't trust a single one of them."
I mean, but if I say, what's your favorite part since coming to Georgia State? I didn't say who's your favorite teammate or whatever, and she says, my favorite part of Georgia State is my teammates.
And this was before the season started?
This was before the season
started. See, that's when the chemistry's easy.
But
because
before she knew how many shots she was going to get in the game.
At that point, all you are girlfriends, and you're not officially teammates yet.
But I think
you get on the hardwood.
But I think that, relationship is essential to building that chemistry up.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying they got to do this off the court.
Yeah.
They got to fix their chemistry problem off the court. This isn't going to happen, between the baselines. Yeah. It's not. You're not going to just suddenly pass the ball and a light bulb's going to go off. You're going to go, oh man, that's it. It doesn't happen that easy because they were passing the ball today. There was one time where I don't remember who was passing to who, but the ball got passed. And the person who was intended to receive the pass, and I'm not making this up, and again, this is the kind of thing the numbers won't show, she genuinely stepped out of the way of the ball, and the ball sailed out of bounds.
And just looked at the ball. You ever watched the Knicks play with J.R. Smith and Tim Hardaway Jr. and those guys last year? It was like that.
I was so just blown away. She actually just watched the ball, and it wasn't like it was a bad pass, and she couldn't tell it was going to her. I don't know whether she just lost positioning on the court. She thought somebody was behind her, but she moved out of the path of the ball. The ball bounced one time on the hardwood and then went out of bounds.
But that's a prime example of just lack of chemistry. If you know how your teammates play, have you ever seen a team that's been together a few years like the Hawks? Bob. They know where the ball's going. They know T, Corver, T. They know where the ball's Millsap, Horford. Basket.
But we just won't talk about Coach Bud getting ejected tonight, will we? That'll kind of give us some chemistry problems. Hey, let's take this over to our game balls though, because this one was hard for me. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Okay. In fact, I might even let you go first. So Rashad, who's your game ball recipient for the Panthers tonight?
All right, my game ball. Offense wins games. Obviously not this game. But defense wins championships. And I'll tell you, a girl who was a freshman, but at her high school, she won a bunch of championships in high school because she was the best defender, and that is KK Williams. KK Williams only had 9 points and 5 rebounds and 1 assist on the stat sheet, but her impact on the game, if you watch the game, was so much greater than the stat sheet. And their comeback, she was the main anchor of that, getting the rebounds between passing it the ball and making sure no one panicked during the comeback. And that's the only reason why we only lost by 9 points instead of 15 or 20 points. It's KK Williams. So.
And that's the moral of the story in every aspect of what we're talking about is the stats just don't tell everything.
Yeah.
They don't. Well, you're right that offense wins games, defense wins championships, so this is only appropriate. You're giving it to the defense, well, I'm giving it to the offense. I'm giving it to Morgan Jackson. In a game like this, you have to give it to a leader. You have to give it to a senior. You have to give it to a senior off the bench who comes out and is tied for the most points in the game with 12. Was it enough to win? Obviously not. I saw her make a few really significant threes. I think she had 2, particularly, that I remember seeing that were pretty far out, really. And I just remember kind of going, wow, And sometimes they were during a few fleeting moments when the Panthers had some momentum, and she seemed like she really fed off that momentum. And I hope that the younger players around her, and heck, not even the younger players, just the team, considering how bad their chemistry is, took a second to watch her play. Yeah. Because it didn't look like she played selfishly. She was maybe the only one on the court tonight that didn't play selfishly.
Most definitely.
And I think that only is true because of the fact that she's a senior.
She only took shots when they were needed.
Right, and when they were there.
Yeah.
She wasn't just going 90 feet to the hoop and trying to put it up, which it seemed like everybody was doing. Makiba did that a lot, and I was disappointed to watch her do that.
Marbury, Crawford, pulling up from RJ range, bricking.
So Morgan Jackson gets my game ball for the Panthers, and I hope that they figure themselves out through the season, because I tell you what, I like when these girls play. I really do. I mean, 90 points is no slouch. Let's call it what it is. 90 points is no slouch. So imagine what they can do when the chemistry clicks.
When they know what they're doing.
Just imagine. Well, until then, hopefully we'll have another show where we can talk about that. But that's going to wrap up this show with our game balls. Rashad's already crumpling his paper. He's going to shoot a hoop, isn't he? Rashad's going to put this to the camera. Oh,
basketball.
There it goes. Basketball. All right. That was beautiful. I bet that even went off camera. So let's... I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you all for tuning in again. It's been fun, and we will see you next time.